So welcome to the Really Practical Marketing and Social Selling Tips webinar. This is something that me and Kieran decided a while ago that we're going to share some really practical stuff, as opposed to a lot of the other stuff out there, which is very conceptual, it's very theoretical, or it's very overview kind of thing where they give you the overview of what you need to be doing, but not how and not the practical things, because they want you to buy some stuff from them. And don't get me wrong, we want you to buy lots of stuff from us as well, but we just thought that we wanted to do it a little bit differently and actually sharing some very, very practical tips that you can go out and implement. So I am here with Kieran Gilmurray, who is one of the top social selling experts in Europe. Kieran, you're always in Ireland, right? Almost always in Ireland.
Yeah, and they won't let me out. Even if there wasn't a COVID passport, I doubt they'd let me escape as well. So yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm kind of in the opposite position here, because I'm in Russia right now. I'm not sure that they want to keep me. I might be kicked out in a couple months. Well, we're working on that. Hopefully, I'll get the permits to stay here for 3 years.
Yeah, remember, Patrick, they have to find you first. You're okay.
That's true. That's true, and that's not that easy in Russia. Like, everything is a little bit more undercover here, so that's good.
Big place,
cool.
Right?
Where were we? Yes, so Kieran is one of the top social selling experts in Europe. And Kieran, why don't I kick it over to you, and we can get started with today. And by the way, we will open up for questions towards the end if we have time, and typically we have time.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, look, good. Thanks, Patrick. Look, we'll get in today, as Patrick said. Look, him and I started this because we're fed up listening to a load of advice that doesn't make sense from LinkedIn, whatever else. You probably, the folks who followed me over the last couple of years, you've seen that I've grown my following from nothing to maybe 20-something thousand. Kept in my head all of the things that really worked and didn't work, and I don't mean the fake stuff. So we heard, Patrick and I were just talking before you arrived about someone who got 1 million followers in a couple of weeks or whatever else. You probably can, but it's a bit like walking into the middle of the high street in London or whatever and shouting, buy my product. That doesn't really work. It's like, throwing a stone in the ocean. So whatever we're going to teach you, we have both done, thank goodness. And hopefully to goodness, as Patrick said, it'll be as practical as possible. And Patrick has done this many times over as an entrepreneur, qualified copywriter, certified, one of the best in Europe, definitely one of the best in the world in terms of email marketing and everything else. So the stuff that you're going to hear today is stuff that we have actually done that works. So hopefully to goodness, let's introduce you to the steps, the really practical social selling tips that we were talking about. We'll talk about, or Patrick's going to lead off on the 7 core reasons why your marketing probably isn't working. He's going to do the vast majority of the talking today. I'll join in with a couple of things on LinkedIn in terms of what I've seen, subtle difference. And at the end, I have a set of slides. You're probably not going to see those today. You don't want to see more slides. Just DM me on LinkedIn afterwards, and then give me your email address, and I'll send you the slides that I've got with the 7 reasons why there's problems on the social selling side of things. Patrick, if you would mind leading.
Fantastic.
What's
Absolutely.
our first problem?
Would love to. So first of all, I understand people are really frustrated about marketing, that it seems like it's a completely foreign language or an alien language even, that lots of people think that they'll never master, they'll never understand, and they have to go out and hire agencies to do it for them. It's not necessarily a bad thing to hire agencies, but I believe in actually knowing first. You have to have a solid understanding first of what it really is about. Because if you don't have that, you can't really evaluate the agencies that you're going to hire. So, the first many years in business, I started my first business at 21. I failed miserably. I had several bankruptcies. But at a certain point, and this is about 2003, I really made a life-changing decision that put me on a path to success very, very quickly, and actually started a business where I, within about 8-9 months, around that time, 8-9 months, actually retired, moved to the Caribbean, and became extremely lazy and lived the lifestyle of sipping martinis on the beach. Now, that was not what I found out after about a year. That was not really what I wanted. So I came back and started to do something that made a difference. But what I found out is it's all about marketing and sales skills. It's all about communication. If you want to take it in one broad stroke, what is it that will ensure your success in business? It's communication. Whether it's communication as a leader to be able to inspire people, or is it communicating to the marketplace what it is that you have and why they should buy from you. And I've identified or I've analyzed thousands and thousands of marketing campaigns, and I've identified 7 things that are basically going wrong, which I call the core reasons your marketing are not working. The first one is weak headlines. Okay, and when I say headlines, I don't necessarily just mean headlines for ads, but it could also be the opening statement in your social media posts. Okay, the opening statement is what catches people's attention. And if your opening statement is weak or it's me too, people are not going to read the rest. I mean, this may sound logical, but a lot of people either they don't get it or they don't get how important it really is. Top expert Jay Abraham, some of you might have heard about me. He's called the $1 billion man. His marketing campaigns has created billions and billions of dollars for his clients. And he's the most expensive business consultant in the world. He says your headline is the ad for the ad and responsible for up to 80% of the results in your marketing. Now, I don't know how much time you put into creating the opening lines, the headlines, the subject lines in the emails, but this is absolutely crucial.
And is there, Patrick, a particular size to that, you know, in terms of numbers of words or the type of language used in the headlines?
Yes and no. Okay, so it depends. It depends on the media, and it depends on a lot of things. But overall, the shorter the better. Okay, that's been tested. Now, again, there's a caveat to that. Okay, if it's a very, very short headline, you have to expand on what it is you mean in what comes immediately after that. Okay, so for example, one of the best headlines I've ever seen is "Read This or Die." Okay, remember, the only purpose of the headline is to get the attention and to make people curious enough that they're going to read the rest. It is not to educate them on the whole thing that you're doing. It's not to explain what product you have. It's not to give them the name of your brand. And that's, by the way, is a major, major thing that people do wrong, is they think they should be putting their brand there because that's what they see in big business marketing. So I understand why they make that mistake, because they see big business do it all the time, right? The problem is the only reason big business can do this and get away with it successfully is because they have so much money that they can pour so much awareness, like you can repeat this message over and over and over and over again. We don't, as small business owners, we don't have that luxury. We have to have a much stronger. We have to have a much stronger.
George is in Athens, by the way.
Yes.
George, we'll have to get you on mute.
Yes. We took care of that now. All right. So we have to have something much more powerful that grabs people's attention and move them to action right away. Otherwise, we're dead. Like small business owners, we're finished if we don't do that. So Kieran, what's your take on that for social selling and social media?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, Patrick, without a doubt. You know, the more word pictures you can paint, the less language you can use. And I always sort of say, like, between 6 and 8 words, the better. I use the phrase that everybody on social media, and my specialty is LinkedIn, is traveling the same equivalent of down a motorway at 60 miles an hour. And there is that much information passing on the verges either side of you that you have to do something visually to grab people's attention, to get them to stop to read what you're attempting to tell them. And I love that one, "Read This or Die." I can imagine if you put that in LinkedIn, you might get quite a few people actually stopping as well. So exactly the same, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way,
what's your number 2?
There was written by a guy called Jim Rutz, who unfortunately is not with us any longer, but he charged $100,000 up front even before writing his first word, plus a percentage of what that sales letter brought in. So he kind of knew what he was doing. So
I was going to say, did he die rich?
So, okay, next one. The next biggest mistake is weak or no lead magnet. Now, a lead magnet is basically what you give away something, or not necessarily give away, but it could be very, very cheap product, something that is very easy and non-scary for the prospect to start consuming from you, where in this transaction, they give away their contact details and their permission for you to follow up on them. And honestly, it is unbelievably common. I go to a website and see a website with no lead magnet. Like I don't know the percentage, but I would say it's easily 60, 70% that doesn't have a lead magnet at all. And most of the rest of them, they hide their lead magnet. So you have to literally scroll or look for it. Okay. And the ones that even are positioned in a way that you can see it relatively easily, the name and the positioning, the wording for the lead magnet is just very, very weak. It's very me too. Okay. So for example, let me give you an example of a weak headline or also weak lead magnet. Improve your sales, right? How to improve your sales. It is so me too, it's so general, it doesn't have any power. It's like, who cares? Okay. But if I said, three easy ways to improve your sales by 53% in 7 days or less with a little known tactic. Okay, now suddenly it's way more specific, like specificity sells. Specificity is one of the things that you really need to put into your marketing. Saying improve your sales, who cares? But improve your sales in less than 7 days by 53% or more. Okay, that's a much, much more powerful message. So you got to have a lead magnet, and you got to put some effort into creating this lead magnet. So it is so compelling that people will be insane to say no to it. Okay, somebody who's in your target market. Okay, Kieran, what's your take on that?
Yeah, look, I see the same stats. I'd probably say it's actually higher, Patrick, in any of the websites that I go to. And I'll just explain momentarily what a lead magnet is from my end of the world. You know, it is something that offers tremendous value to your audience. It's not about you as a business. So it's not a sales brochure, because people are fed up providing their email addresses and name to get suddenly bombarded by you for a pile of buy this, buy this, buy this. Can't be that type of thing. Has to be something really valuable that gives them tremendous value, that when they look at this, consume this, take the next action or whatever else, they remember you and go, wow, you know, you've given me something free. It's given me a tremendous amount of value, and you're leading them down that journey to say, wow, if they give me that for free, imagine if I paid the money, what that would look like. You can put that on a website, of course, first page, front page, really visible, capture their attention. Remember, your LinkedIn profile, as an example, is also your mini website. And you've got a section called featured. And in that section called featured, you can feature any particular piece of content. One of your very first items should be some compelling piece of value that encourages people to download it, to consume it. It may even, as Patrick says, get them to go to your website. You can put that in your about section. Or one good thing about your featured is you can point to an external source and you will not be punished by LinkedIn. Normally, remember, if you put content on LinkedIn that's not native to the platform, they punish you. But when you put that lead magnet or that link to an external source of value, i.e. a download, a document, a video or something else, a how-to, you are not punished when it's in your featured. So put it in your featured, post it in your LinkedIn, put it in your about section. But to Patrick's point, give people a real reason to want to connect to you, give them a kind of value so they keep coming back for more.
And I'll give you practical examples here. I don't like calling people out, but I'm going to call people out. Okay, I'm going to show some bad examples because while you're talking, Kieran, I was looking for some examples here. And this is literally, I am going to look, check this out. This is, I mean, it is unbelievable how much money is poured away with bad marketing. Hold on, where are we? Let me share the screen here.
Hopefully nobody is belonging to this company. If you are, this is great advice.
It's great. I mean, it's great because, I mean, you know, I know this guy actually, Michael Server, and this I'm looking for Coaching London, right? The top two here, Michael Server and 7 Career Coaching. Bark is more like a search engine that finds stuff for you, so that we can really count on those. But check this out. There's nothing. It's like, why should I get in touch with this guy? You have to have a reason. You have to have a reason to get in touch with you. If you don't have a strong reason, why would people get in touch with you? Yeah. Next one.
Maybe goes back to your point
attract,
earlier.
retrain, grow. I mean, okay, they have a free discovery call up here, but here's the point. I mean, first of all, it's not very prominently displayed, and you're not necessarily going to see it. And also, what does that mean? A free discovery call, is that a value to me? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Same. This guy's a little bit better. First of all, he says 5-star Google ratings, reviews. So that's great for authority. Book a free discovery call. Again, what does that mean? Here in his description, there is no value of what I get out of this discovery call. No, nothing. So I'll show you a contrast here for a free discovery call, ready for more leads and sales. Right away, it's talking about the benefit that people will get out of this. Give me now, and I'll help you beat marketing confusion, create crystal clear clarity of what to do next to build the business of your dreams, discover what's stopping you from attracting enough leads and customers, pinpoint how to maximize conversion sales in every single step of your marketing funnel so you can scale your business and get the freedom you deserve, right? Clear benefits in description of what they're going to get out of taking the next step, and you must have that. All right, enough about that. Let me stop sharing here and get back to anything else about that, Kieran, before we move on?
No, I thought it was really compelling, and went back to your very first point. There was a very clear title, didn't involve too many words. You knew exactly what you were getting, and as you said, it's all about them, not about you. So really clear.
Yeah. Okay, next one is a week offer. Okay, and I could talk about creating a powerful offer for probably at least a whole day, if not 2 days, because it's that important. I would say the two most important elements in your marketing is the headline and the offer. Okay, and I'm not saying that everything else is not important, but those are two things you really need to take to go deep into. Now, so how do you create a great offer? It's not just about price. Okay, it's about, for example, creating a compelling, powerful guarantee instead of just saying money back guarantee, right? This is something that people have heard before. You must be different in everything that you do. So just saying money back guarantee doesn't have a lot of power, but saying like my 3-point old-fashioned handshake guarantee that ensures that you will 1, 2, 3. Like my first guarantee is 365 days complete peace of mind satisfaction guarantee, right? For any reason you're not happy, within 365 days, you get all your money back. Guarantee number 2, if you don't increase your business by 30% within 3 months, just ask for your money back, and you'll never hear from me again, whatever. You see the point is here I'm making is, this is, I mean, and I'm just ripping with this, right? This is way more powerful than just saying money back guarantee. And so the guarantee is part of the offer. Another thing that's part of the offer is powerful bonuses. Just try to put in as many bonuses as humanly possible that complements your service or your product and makes your product and service more powerful. Anything on that, Kieran?
Yeah, look, it's exactly the same for websites. It's exactly the same for LinkedIn. My day job is, automation. And there must be, goodness knows, 100 automation companies in the world. And if you look at LinkedIn profiles, the latest figure says there's over 734 million. So if you actually want to stand out, your offer has to be compelling. And the 3 things that you said there, Patrick, absolutely great. You turn around, you see too many companies saying, like, money back guarantee, thousands. How do you stand out? I think the big thing here where you're describing, make it a big offer, something massive that you would love as a consumer yourself. Give that bonus element, free, whatever, and give people piles of value because you want this relationship to sustain. But you really want to stand out. If you do those things, then you start to move the conversation away from price. And it goes back to your comment earlier on, Patrick, then you can start to charge really what you want to your audience or your niche audience who will absolutely love what you've got. But you need to do this to stand out in amongst a crowd of either hundreds of millions of other profiles or billions of websites.
Totally. All right, let's move on to the number 4 reason why your marketing's not working. And that is focusing on traffic first instead of perfecting your messaging and funnel, right? And you might be thinking about, why not focusing on traffic? Well, that's not what I'm saying. It is focusing on traffic first. There are so many people that come to me at events and they say, well, Patrick, how do I get more traffic? How do we get more people to see our message? And the problem with having that on your mind, it's not so much as a problem, but it's the wrong focus. What you need to be focusing on is perfecting your message and your funnel first. When people say, how do we get more traffic? What they actually mean to say is, how do we get more free traffic? Okay, and it's really important to understand this, that unless that you are let's say you're a blog, you're a media of some kind, of your website relies on where the business model is actually creating content. So you're a newspaper, you're a news blog, you're creating content, okay? With those kind of businesses where you're creating massive amount of content, you can survive on free traffic. Okay, you can survive and thrive on free traffic. It's possible. It's not necessarily going to happen, but it's possible. Okay, any other business that I know of, any other business model, if you want to scale, if you want to reach your dreams, you have to use paid traffic. You have to use paid traffic. Okay, and paid traffic cannot be profitable enough unless you really focus on perfecting your messaging and funnel. So focusing on first and think, how do we get enough traffic? How do we get more traffic? How do we get more traffic? Before you fixed your funnel, before you really optimized your funnels and created a message that really works, you'll make sure if you do that, that you're gonna lose a lot of money when you start to do paid advertising. Okay, so I hope you understand. You can never ever become free in almost every single type of business unless you use paid traffic, because otherwise you will be involved in creating the content, interacting on social media, posting on social media, doing all these things manually. You have to transcend away, not necessarily away from manual marketing, but you have to at least also have paid advertising. I mean, think of any brand in the world that does really well. Can you think of any brand in the world that does really well that doesn't do paid advertising, right? With paid advertising, you've got to focus on the message first and the funnel. Once you have that, the thing is then you can afford paying for traffic. You can afford paying for traffic. Like once your funnel is working, you just go out and buy it. So like, I say a little bit with tongue in cheek when people say, how do I get more traffic? I said, you just buy it. You just buy it. And then people say, but we've tried that and it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because your funnel wasn't optimized well enough. Your messaging wasn't optimized well enough. Even your ads sucked. I mean, most of the ads I see out there, like just wasting money because they don't understand how to create a powerful, compelling message. All right, off my high horse here, Kieran, and over to you.
Yeah, look, I've seen the same thing. And again, take LinkedIn, doesn't matter, YouTube, take Twitter. People complain that ads don't work. Well, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to sell in the ad, number one. Number two, it's visually unappealing in terms of the title or the graphic or whatever else to get people to stop in their tracks. And just back to the same things that we're saying, folks, these are key ingredients. If there isn't a compelling offer in the actual ad itself, then why the hell would I click on it? So those messages you need to be able to answer. The other bit in the Patrick's point is that I'm an absolute fan of paying advertising. And I see some people worrying, well, if I haven't got $1,000 a month, I haven't got $2,000 a month. Well, so what? Look, if you're making 5 times that, 6 times that, 7 times that, then the money isn't your problem. It's actually fulfilling all of the orders that you're getting. So make it really compelling. Don't try and sell. Make it the top of your funnel. Make it really interesting and get people actually to go with you. That goes back to the big offer status earlier on. And then just spend the money. And as Patrick said, keep spending the money, because the cash, the cost of that isn't the problem. It's the orders that you will get in, and managing that will be the problem.
By the way, I want to encourage everybody to share their LinkedIn profile so we can connect with each other after the show here. That would be cool. I just shared my LinkedIn profile so you can connect with you if we're not connected already. All right, over to the next one. And I expect you to have a lot to say about this one. Kieran. And I kind of said this already, but it's basically the funnel is not optimized. Okay, so first of all, most people's funnels are too short. What I mean by funnel is, okay, you have an ad and you take them to a landing page where you're offering something for free, and then after that, there can be an offer or something, right? But most people's funnels are too short, and they're not putting enough messaging and developing and a relationship developing into that funnel. And because of that, conversion will be low. Because today, it takes more and more and more relationship building, trust building, before people make a decision to buy from you. So as I said, I think you'll have a lot to say about that, Kieran, because I see people make this mistake in social media as well. They go for the kill too quickly. They just go straight into the offer.
Yeah. Someone said to me, it's a bit like rocking up at a party or a bar and asking the first person you meet to marry you without actually giving any reason, without dating in any sense. Absolutely right. I follow a strategy called know, like, and trust. And this is the same in any marketing. I won't buy from someone I don't know. I won't buy from someone I don't like in some shape, form, or other. And I certainly won't buy from someone I don't trust. Relationships take time to build. You need to put content out there. You need to prove to people, you know, who you are, that they can like you and what you're trying to do. It's not, doesn't mean a personal relationship, because this is business after all, but that does help. And you have to put out enough content over time and enough value. And to Patrick's point earlier on, when he mentioned, you know, make it a big offer. And if you fail at that offer, hand people the money back or do whatever it is you promised to do, because your reputation will be key. And if you follow through in everything you're saying, people will trust you, and then they will start to forgive some of the mistakes that you may inevitably make. But building relationships in the real world takes time. We've now moved to digital times, and therefore people are a little bit more skeptical to a certain degree. Building those relationships is going to take more, and that's going to take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 touch points where you deliver or give value, recommend, comment, or whatever else. It ain't going to happen on day one. So please stop screaming, buy from me the first or second date. Doesn't work.
Absolutely. I've had people contact me that I like have known me for years, and they say, oh, we'll be following you for years, Patrick. And it's like, now they're ready. Now they're ready to buy from me because they trust me, right?
Yeah. As opposed to connecting with you and then offering to sell you something straight away. You know how that feels. People will feel the same thing if you do it to them.
Oh, yeah. And when you go to networking events, like, you know, so that typically when you go to networking, there's two types of people with the audience. There's the people that just pitch right away. They're like, hi, I'm Patrick and I'm selling this. Do you want to buy? Like, okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but just a little bit. And then there's the other type of people at a networking event that they're kind of so shy, and they hate the salesy people that they don't do any sales themselves. And you have to kind of be in the middle. Like, you have to be there to build some relationship, but you also have to come up with something that is interesting to them for them to take the next step, right? So whether you're in the real world doing networking or you're on social media, you've got to prove some value up front. By the way, Kieran, what do you do do you do any lead magnet on LinkedIn? Like, what do you offer? Let's say that we connect on LinkedIn and we've talked for a couple of times. Do you give me something, a carrot for me to move to the next step and have a serious conversation with you?
Yeah, mine's slightly different. So I do two parts, going back to what you mentioned earlier on. So I put out a lot of content, and I describe that as thought leadership content. So I write a lot of articles, put out a lot of documents, work with other thought leaders in my space. So that the design of that is, one, to put content out so people start to know me. I do video, voice, text, and everything else. And I recommend a mix of strategies, by the way, because different people have different learning styles and ways of consuming. The fact that I'm putting out thought leadership that stands up, that I'm linking to other experts in the world. Again, people want to talk to thought leaders. They don't want to talk to just anybody, which means, you know, whatever I charge, I can then charge. So I put that out. When someone connects, again, it depends on the connection type. If I'm connecting to them, I do it gently. You know, I'll comment on some of their articles. I'll add value in my own opinion to what they've actually said. And then at a point in time when I've given value and done a recommendation as well for a particular skill, that has to be authentic and genuine. So for Patrick, I'd be doing email marketing because I know he does it. After that, I'll then connect to them only after giving value and being part of their network, so they start to know and like me. Once they know and like me, then what I will do is start giving value. So look, I see what you comment on in your last article, your last post. Here's an article that I've written. And anything that I have as a call to action at the back of each piece. So it talks about, who I am so you can see me again. I want you to do that so you know me when I'm coming to talk to you. It mentions what I'm good at. It shows you my other profiles and says, please talk to me about the following. If someone has connected to me directly, it's subtly different because they've consumed my content. Remember, and this is probably a big thing, Patrick, on social networks, most people are lurkers. So even when you put something out there, your content's getting far more reach than you actually believe. I think it's about 60% more than you actually see in terms of likes and clicks and comments and whatever else. Most people are lurkers, but if they've connected to me and gone to the trouble of doing that, I'll introduce myself straight away. Here's what I'm about. Here's my link. And by the way, here's some articles you might find interesting because again, I've taken the time to go to look at their about profile to learn a little bit more about them, to give them value that actually resonates, as opposed to what Patrick was saying earlier on, throwing out an offer or content that's of no relevance to them at all. And all that content has CTAs. And then I start building the relationship from there, continually commenting, adding value for a narrower number of people.
Yeah, awesome. So your lead magnet is kind of the articles that you've produced, and you're directing them to it and say, hey, look, this is some value for you, and this is proving that you actually know what you're talking about and that you're an expert in your field. That's worth our time.
100%.
So can I just ask what that call to action would be if you're already in touch with the person? So I understand a call to action as being, okay, leave your details here and you'll go on a mailing list and we can then communicate with you, remind you that we exist, give you value, and occasionally maybe offer you something. What would the call to action be in that situation where you already have the person's details, you're already communicating with them?
So let me do that and then chuck it across to Patrick. So mine's a softer sell. I want you to know I'm an expert in my space. I say, look, here's what I'm an expert in. I send them articles, send them links. If you want to talk about this, come to me. Why I feel that's slightly more powerful, Phil, is that I'm not selling to them. They're actually buying from me, which is a very different conversation and connection. And I won't actually sell to everyone either. When they reach out to me, I'll then do a call and have a conversation when they've built up enough trust in me. And at that point, I'll do a qualification call so that if I can help, fantastic. Then we're on a great relationship, because the worst thing would be if I didn't and wasn't able to deliver what they want. So anybody wants to talk to me about executive coaching, LinkedIn selling, robotics, intelligent automation, that's my space. And I will deal with technology companies and no one else. And I will do that exceedingly well. Patrick, what's yours?
Well, I would be saying something like, hey, could you handle more leads, or could you handle more leads at a lower price with less hassle? And if they say yes, I say, okay, great, let's have a chat about it. I've briefly looked at your website, and I have some ideas that I would like to share with you. If you want to book some time with me, I will give you about 50 minutes of my time to go more in depth with your marketing, and then see what we can figure out, ways that you can improve your lead generation or your conversion rate. So I'll be giving away an hour of my time. I'll typically say 50 minutes of my time, and then I'll go over, because it's a good thing to over deliver. So I would say 45 minutes or 50 minutes of my time, and then we'll go to an hour. And in that time, I'll give them lots and lots of value. And then of course, I'll try to close them on my services if it's appropriate for them, if I feel that I can help them. And that's basically it.
The one thing I would do, Phil, just again, mine's subtle. You notice I said, I say, like, I deal with technology companies, data analytics or whatever. So I've kind of pre-filtered that audience as well, because I do exactly what Patrick does, which is, now you know me, you've seen me, you've liked my content. I want you to hear me, and, we'll engage for 45 minutes. But I don't want to talk to everyone. Otherwise, I could spend my entire week giving away free calls. And that I don't have time for, because ultimately I have to pay the mortgage. So I would recommend a mix of both.
Thanks very much.
Super. All right, let's move to the next one. Number 6, the wrong target market. And there's a lot of people that talk about this. And then don't get me wrong, a target market is important, but it really isn't that hard to figure out. And you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to get it right from the first time. And that's the thing. I think that lots of people, they kind of obsess about finding the right target market before they start their marketing. Just start, because chances are you are probably not going to find the completely right target market from the beginning. Just start and you test. You just simply test. So is it, like with Facebook, for example, or any other type of marketing today, it's so easy to test. You can only have people between 25 and 30, between 30 and 35. And then when you do that segmented in geographical areas and interest, and you will find the right target market. So don't obsess too much about it, but constantly test. You need to constantly test anyway, right? But you could have the wrong target market. Could be one of the reasons why your marketing is not working. In my opinion, again, it's not, don't over obsess about it because it's relatively easy to figure out. Okay, just simply test different markets and find out which one works best. Kieran, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, same thing, Patrick. A lot of people put stuff out LinkedIn, YouTube, and then don't look at the statistics. There's a lot of data and stats that people have behind things that will actually inform you of better ways of doing it. So that's number one. The other one is, as I'm saying, on LinkedIn, you get, only 40% of the actual audience that look at your content. So don't really worry about the likes or the comments. In general, I find people to be really good in it. I've only had one instance in the last 3 years where someone wasn't particularly pleasant. They've since retracted what they were saying. And again, just please get content out there. Don't worry too much about what people say. Look at the stats. And if you're getting a lot of engagement, attention, and a lot of leads, which is the most important thing, because ultimately who cares about the attention if they're not actually turning into sales, then just keep going until you refine your method and model to get that, again, to Patrick's point, and he's repeated this lots of times, get your funnel right.
Super. Awesome. Let's move to the final one and then we'll open up for questions. And the final one is graphic focused marketing. Now, this may not be an error, but if you're selling something that is very graphical in nature, like you are a web design company, you're graphic design company, you're selling fashion, you're selling art, obviously that is very graphically focused. But for most companies, they have this idea that if their marketing looks amazing, like if they put tons of money into branding and all the graphics, then people will come to you. And it is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. You really, really need to focus on the message. The message is it. I have a really great example. One of my now friends was in a situation where he spent tons of money on his branding, and his website looked amazing. His PDFs looked amazing. Everything looked amazing, and he was getting 0 sales. And he was in such a bad spot that he was sleeping in front of one of his friends' couches. And this was a guy who used to be super, super successful. Like when I say super successful, I really mean super successful. And so, I mean, I didn't even think that he would have the money to get started with me. And to be honest, he really didn't. I made a deal with him. I believed in him. I said, I really believe that you can do something great. Let's just get started. You give me a little bit of money and we'll work it out later on. And what we did, we created a lead magnet, a great compelling lead magnet and some powerful messaging around that. Literally within a month, he closed £24,000 worth of consulting coaching business. And there was very, very basic things we did with a more powerful lead magnet and better messaging. And that's basically it. No other changes. So, really just understand that graphics it's not bad to have great graphics, although there are many ads that's been tested throughout time where a more rough version and more basic version is actually sometimes working better. And that's something that you should be testing as well in your marketing. And people think, why is that? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Well, experts say that it's probably because the more rough versions, like if it's a hand-drawn something or whatever it is, that it actually doesn't look so much as an ad. It doesn't look as much as an ad. So therefore, people don't have as much resistance to it. So Kieran, what are your take on graphics in social media? I mean, some graphics in some places, like for example in Facebook ads, graphics can be very important. But in general, it's the message you need to be focusing on.
Yeah, I go back to what I said earlier on. Like the graphic has to be sufficient that it creates interest in some shape, form, or other. But ultimately, it comes down to the offer. You know, you could have the most amazing graphic in the world, but if you've nothing to say, or you don't grab people's attention, or you don't have an offer that's going to stop people in their tracks, then you really are me too, same as, why would I bother? You know, so I kind of like a good enough graphic, you know, something I could, same earlier on as we're saying, you know, nice sharp title. I haven't put the word die into LinkedIn yet, but after this I may, and then worry about LinkedIn blocking me at some point. But enough of words at the top, a key offer, something that captures the attention, but it comes down to the offer and the proposition more than anything, because that's what people ultimately want and need and will buy.
Definitely. Definitely. And so that's basically it. The 7 core reasons why your marketing is not working for today. And now we're going to open up for questions. We'll have these sessions on a monthly basis, maybe even slightly more than a monthly basis. But that's our plan for now, is we come back and we share new stuff every time, just to be a really good value for the entrepreneurial community out there. So anybody has any questions? And it can be regarding what we covered today, but it can also be something else if you have something else in mind. Don't be shy.
Go, Richard.
So you mentioned LinkedIn punishment.
Yep.
You said there are certain things that LinkedIn kind of rewards and they punish. Have you kind of went through it, you said it quickly and I didn't have time to write it down, in terms of external references and like, what would be your sort of top few tips?
Okay, so let me do the punishment bit first, where you could get yourself banned. One is automation. You cannot automate your posting or whatever else, because LinkedIn absolutely hates it. There's some mix in there where legally you can do it, but the conditions of LinkedIn say don't do it, so one, don't. The second one is they allow you 100 connections a week. So if they start to see you doing stuff like connecting to over 100 people and it's generic requests, as soon as you hit connect, the other person has the option to say, I don't know you. Once you get 3 or 5 of those, I think, because LinkedIn doesn't publish the algorithm, they will block your account or slow you down from connecting to anyone. I think internally in the application, I call it LinkedIn blocking in itself, which is if you don't put out, you know, interesting content, if you don't engage and comment, then people will stop to engage with you. And therefore LinkedIn looks at this, decides you're not particularly interesting, and therefore it doesn't actually start to promote your content to anyone else or people promoting content to you at the same time. They kind of want people to stay on the platform. Therefore, stuff has to be engaging. The bit I mentioned earlier on, Richard, was underneath your profile picture, there's a section called featured. And any article or any post that you could put in place, if you go to the 3 ellipses in the top right-hand side, it can say, make it part of your featured. And normally visually, there's about 4 on a website and maybe less on your mobile phone. And I suggest you check both. So look at your profile on the website, look at your profile on the mobile, and remember LinkedIn's introducing dark mode. So make sure that your picture and any of the content you're producing fits into dark mode as well. If you post something that's not native to LinkedIn normally, because LinkedIn, like Twitter, like Facebook, like anyone else, wants you to stay native, in other words, on the platform, keep your dwell time high, normally they can punish that by not posting or sharing your article with anyone. So I did something posted it out to YouTube the other day, said, look at this, and I got next to no views. The next day I embedded the same video into my profile. I was testing, by the way. It suddenly showed up to lots and lots of people. The featured section is the only one where you can do plus in the featured, and then you can link to something external. So if you want to link into your pitch video on YouTube, so let's say you want to talk about the services you offer, why you're great value and whatever else, and I recommend that as one of your featured topics so that people can learn more about you, your service and whatever else. If that's external to Vimeo or YouTube, not punished. It will stay, it will get posted, you will be fine. The second featured item goes exactly what Patrick's been saying. Make it a compelling offer if you're selling something, so that can be your offered, and then whatever else you've got in there can still be external as well. But featured is really the only thing where you won't get punished dramatically by LinkedIn if you post it there. You still get stuff posted, by the way. It just won't go out to lots and lots of people if you're going to try and get the algorithm to get people to disappear.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn at this point deems anything that I produce very, very uninteresting. because I haven't really been using LinkedIn, and I know it's kind of stupid, but I've been a little bit spoiled with having tons and tons of leads from meetup and from networking events and all that kind of stuff. So I never really had the need to do it. But I'm kind of kicking myself for not actually just a little bit doing something from time to time, maybe just once a week or something.
Mm.
Yeah, and it doesn't involve much time, Richard, although I look as if I'm permanently on it. I maybe spend about 15 minutes a day because I've got a technique around it, but just put some stuff out 3 times a week. Engage with people, because that's what LinkedIn's trying to do. You know, do you put content out and do you actually communicate people? Because that's the I use this phrase to myself often, the clues in the title. It's a social network, be social. That's the bit that really will start to get you noticed and your content reshared and published.
By the way, if you have any questions, you're welcome to also post them in the comment box over there, instead of going, if you're a bit shy, or if you're not video ready, if we're going to get scared if we see you, or whatever, you know, you just post your comments or your questions, sorry, in the text box, and we will cover them.
I just got a quick one. Is this session recorded, and if it's going to be shared, and where?
Yeah, it will be recorded. I mean, it is being recorded, and it will be shared. It'll be shared on my YouTube. Kieran, I'm sure you're going to be sharing on LinkedIn.
Yeah, same. Both. You know, I stick it up on YouTube,
Sure.
so it's permanently there as a resource to people,
Sure.
and then I will post about it on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
Awesome. Super. Any other
Phil,
questions?
you can ask a question. Oh, sorry, Mark and Phil.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got another question. So yeah, thanks very much, Patrick and Kieran. This has been absolutely great. But I dropped off for a bit. My video froze, so hopefully I'm not repeating another question that somebody else asked. But you were saying about paid paid traffic. Is there a rule of thumb for businesses, be they small or large, about the amount they should be looking to invest in paid traffic to get started and start their testing?
No, this is a great question, and lots of people ask this, and there really is. Like, first of all, you know, the difference in click price in different niches of products can be insanely big, right? So, for example, there's certain thing that relates to certain lawsuits, for example, around malpractice or pharmaceuticals that has destroyed people's health or anything like that, where the click price, we're not talking about the lead price, we're talking about click price. The click price could be 30, 40, 50 pounds per click, right? Whereas in other niches, well, sometimes you can have clicks as low as 20, 30p, right? So there can literally be like 100 times difference, or more than 100 times difference, depending on the profitability of the product and service and the competitiveness of that niche. So you really can't say. What I will say is, I think where you're going, and this is also a mistake, in my opinion, a big mistake. Lots of people say, well, I have £1,000 in marketing budget, or I have £5,000 in marketing budget a month. That's just not the right way to think. Okay, what you should be thinking is, how much do I make the first time somebody buys from me? What's the profit? You calculate the profit the first time. And then you calculate, and I know that you can't really, in some cases, if it's a new business, you can't necessarily calculate a precise lifetime value of a customer. But let's say that you project that a customer will buy from you for 3 years, they'll buy 5 times a year, and every time you make £50. So 5 times 50, £75 a year, times 3, that's 150, £225. Okay, you make £225 profit from a customer. And then the first time they buy, you make 50. I think I miscalculated, but anyway, let's say the first time you buy, you make 50. Okay. Now, knowing that the first time they buy, you make £50, and that they will buy from you more times on average, you know that you can allocate spending £50 to bring in one customer. Okay, and that's the way I would like you to think, instead of thinking, how much money should we allocate on a monthly basis? Thinking in terms of how much money do we make per client, and that means how much can I spend on acquiring that one client? And that will enable you to come up with many different potential ways to market. For example, it could be affiliate programs. maybe you can pay somebody £50 to bring you a client, but you will know the marketing spend that you can do per client. And if you can hit the what do you call it? Like the perfect scenario in marketing is that you can break even on the first purchase. So meaning if you can, for example, generate a client for £50 and you make £50, that's where you need to look for. That's what you need to look for in marketing, as opposed to how much can we allocate on a monthly basis. Does it make sense? I know it's a dramatically different way to think. Mark, are you with me? You're muted. Mark, you're muted.
Sorry,
I think maybe his microphone isn't working there.
microphone.
No, I'm having problems with mine, Patrick.
He's gone.
So Patrick, my microphone's gone and my internet connection's frozen,
Okay.
so I've had to go over to somebody else's desktop in the office. But yeah, that made sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions?
Phil was going to ask a question.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I was just going to ask about the sort of balance between quite social sort of Facebook style posts on LinkedIn and ones that are kind of, you know, much more sort of business focused. And I see people kind of mixing it up, and maybe that's the answer, is that, you know, people naturally gravitate towards, you know, stories about people, and the ones that I see with the most engagement often, I think, this is just Facebook, you know, this is on the wrong platform, and they get so many likes and so much engagement and chat. And so what do you think about that kind of, you know, and some people talk about, you know, Facebook versus LinkedIn, and should you be putting social things at all on LinkedIn? So I just wondered what your views on that was.
Let me try and answer that one. Let me think of a couple of different views, Phil, to be honest. You have a generation coming through now who are using LinkedIn who were on Facebook. And therefore you see a lot of people being, if you want to use the term, less businessy, but businesses are less businesses these days. So talking about mental health, so talking about a whole host of stuff. I think if I were to answer you straight away, it's a kind of mix. You know, you feel whatever you're feeling comfortable give up that information. I give out a certain amount of information, but you wouldn't know how many kids I've got, wife, whatever, you know, nothing personal. I'm happy to share stuff. Whereas I've seen someone yesterday talked about, you know, she got divorced, she had a cancer scare, you know, moved house, husband, you know, it was a whole host of stuff. I didn't feel anything bad about it. I felt, my goodness, you're a survivor. My goodness, you're really, really strong. I would sort of go to, well, who's your audience? Do you know what I mean? At number one. And if your audience, I'll make something up, you know, it's investment banking, it's a very serious industry or whatever else, then the vast majority of the conversation isn't, you know, very personal. But for example, yesterday there was a lady who's a barrister, and a barrister in the legal industry is known to be quite sober. But she talked about her own struggles, how she grew up on a council estate, how she had a bad marriage, how she had this, and all she got was total empathy from her audience. My one is, if someone abuses you on LinkedIn for you being you, then you don't want them as part of your audience, and therefore go and block them. And you can do that in the security settings, and away they go. My one is, I like dealing with people that I know, like, and trust. And I need to know a little bit of something about them before I can garner that trust level. Doesn't mean I need to know how many kids, whether you got divorced or whatever else, but a little bit of something goes a long way for you becoming more of the person that I want to deal with. Because people deal with people, doesn't matter, B2C, B2B, whatever else. People deal with people, not computers or machinery. Patrick, what's your thoughts, just in general?
I completely agree. Although, I mean, and again, this just might be me because I don't use LinkedIn that much, but the times that I've shared something personal, I kind of got crickets. But I completely believe in and being more personal and being more transparent about yourself, again, because people buy people. So that's one of the things we do at our events, by the way, when we do our networking. We get people to share something about them personally. And because of that, we actually create a very, very fast, we create a connection and a bond between people that you will not experience if people just say, oh, how are you doing? I'm an investment banker, I'm an accountant, you know, how long have you been in business? Those are surface things. You at some point you have to kind of go a little bit deeper, share a little bit about yourself personally to create that personal connection. So yeah, to make a long story short, I totally agree with you, Kieran.
Yeah, just be authentic, Phil, because you can read the LinkedIn posts that are, copy paste from someone who's done something really difficult. Be your authentic self, guarantee it will be responded to well. And if it's not, well, disconnect from.
Yeah. By the way, Ray says, haha, I love that part of the networking events, Patrick. Thanks for that, Ray. I'm not sure which
Yes.
Ray it is, but I have a sneaky suspicion because we have many Rays in our community of 28,000.
I think I'd say the best way to get traffic on LinkedIn is to quit your job and get a new one, because every time you see a number of people,
That's it. Or study something, or call your ex-boss an ass or something like that. Yeah. But it goes back to the same old thing. Like, you want the right traffic, quality, not quantity, and you want the right customers and the right followership and the right tribe, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
We've 2 minutes, by the way, Patrick. Countdown.
Yep. All right. Well, let's end for today. Unless we have more questions, we can do maybe a very, very quick one. Other than that, if you want to find out more about Kieran, where can they find you?
Where I live my life, LinkedIn.
Yeah, and it's Kieran Gilmurray.
I've posted it in the chat session here as well.
Fantastic. And
sorry, I have a final question if we have the minute. Yeah. You mentioned earlier about the lead magnets. What would be an example of a good lead magnet? Because you said don't do sales brochures, which is fair enough. What would be a good one, a valuable?
What industry are you in?
Technology.
Technology.
Software.
Okay, well, think about what is the most crazy high value thing you can give away to your audience without breaking a bank. What is something that they want?
Or a pain point they're experiencing, where they could do with some really great insider information without you trying to sell it to them, without giving away your secret sauce either, by the way. There's that little balance. What's your technology industry, Vicky?
I work with Richard actually at Changeway, so it's a continuous improvement platform.
It's what
are the things that people experience the most difficulty doing, in the change management space? So how could you give them a lot of that information without giving away the secret sauce so that people go, wow, holy goodness, I've had to pay for this so many times. Yeah. They've given me that for free. Imagine what I could get if I actually paid them.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That could be anything: PowerPoint, video, article.
Could be video training, could be personal session, an ebook.
Yeah, 45 minutes talking to you guys, as Patrick mentioned earlier on, around a particular topic or pain point. Could be a webinar like this.
Could be a webinar, live webinar, pre-recorded webinar. Yeah, but the medium is not so important as the title of that lead magnet and the value that is communicated in the title and the copy below as well. Because just saying, I don't know, 5 ways to improve your change management or something like that, it's too generic and it's too weak. It has to be something way more powerful and specific. Okay.
Thank you both.
You're welcome. All righty.
Patrick, how do people find you, sir, by the way?
Yes, so patrickempowers.com/free-MOS, as in marketing optimization session. You can get a free session with me. You need to have marketing in place for me to give that hour to you. It's not like if you have a business idea and want to learn about marketing, this is not what the session is for. It's for people who actually have a marketing funnel already. I'll analyze the funnel and I'll come up with at least a couple of ways that you can improve the conversion in that funnel. Guaranteed. And that is it. Other than that, of course, we do our amazing meetups on meetup.com/entrepreneurs in London. And then you can also find me at LinkedIn under Patrick Empowers. All right. I think that's it, Kieran. Any parting thoughts? It was great to have you here, folks, today. We'll be back. Hope to see you soon in the real world. I'll be back in London. Right now I'm in Russia. I'll be back in London, hopefully by Christmas or sometime early next year.